Welcome to In It to Win It. This is Steve Barton, and thank you for tuning in. We are here for Monday Market Moves, what happened last week in the markets, and what we expect for next week. We just got out of the Rule Boot Camp on developers, and some of the things we learned. One thing I learned is I want to walk around some of these mines. So I would love to walk one of these mines with a geologist would be optimal. But walk around one of these development mines and kind of get a handle on. I feel like I got a little bit better understanding now of what to look for on these mines, and I think that would be really, really cool. That's one thing that Doug Silver recommended. Another thing I learned is I think that basically for 2024, this is probably going to be a point where we're going to want to, over the course of the year, rotate some of our profits out of uranium and rotate them into gold, and specifically good sweet spot gold developers for some real alpha. And like Rick said, if you want some beta, put it in oil. Put it in oil. But great boot camp. That was a lot of fun. I got to review the thing probably 4 more times to really get everything out of it. But anyways, let's move on and go to the charts. All right, so starting out as always with the S&P 500, it has finally started to roll over. It's down for the week. Just hitting around this 20 moving average. Do expect it. This is kind of tough because, see, it's setting up a little double bottom right here, but we got a reversal bar on Friday to the downside. So our bias is a little bit to the downside here. Could have a little tiny pop. But you know, we were so in the clouds over here. I mean, when you look at this RSI and on this one indicator, if you see how it's got this little yellow shading as it moves up above that 80 that 70 line right there, the alarm bells should be going off in your head when it's in this range, and that was pretty right around the top, right? It bounced a little bit, came right back up to that point, and then rolled over. So our downside is lower for next week in the S&P 500. Dollar did the opposite of what we thought, bounced, went up quite a bit, well, 1% for the week. So with the dollar getting stronger, precious metals and other commodities usually move down. Did have a real high wick right there and then kind of settled in the middle. Our bias is to the downside for next week for the dollar. Gold, down a tiny bit, but it is hitting in a little interesting retracement here. So this is on the daily here. We can see the last retracement run hitting kind of right in that. We've got the 50 moving average just below it. And then below that, we have the 200. The 200 moving average right now is sitting, what is that? Right on like 1975, something like that. Would love to see it come down to there. I think that would bring the stochastic and the RSI and the MACD back down in the buy zone. So would love to see gold come back down here to like 1975. And I think that would create an interesting buy point in the equities. Franco-Nevada, still a buy, closed the week at, we'll call it 110. And yeah, liking this one a lot. If you weren't able to capture this one down here when we got down to like 103, 110 is still a deal. Barrick Gold, we made another purchase in Barrick. It hit right on the 200 moving average right here and then bounced. We got in for 1731. So we've been in Barrick a while. Yeah, I like this company for the dividends. You know, they're just one of the majors. I mean, this is an easy beta play on gold, and it hit it right on some technicals right here. So we'll see how that one irons out. We kind of do expect this to go down if they end up acquiring First Quantum. If that's the case, then we'll simply buy more. Gold Royalty Corporation had a limit order hit. We had one for $1.40 and it settled the week at $1.37. So the limit order hit. We have one stink bid down here for $1.20. Probably isn't going to happen, but if you don't place those bets, it's impossible for them to hit. We got Cote coming online Q1 of 2024. So that'll start generating some income here, and we expect this to do well after that. Origin Royalties bought another amount. What did I get it for? 19.5 or 49.5 cents. Settled the week at 49. I think I'm going to do one more limit order, like a stink bid right down here around the 200 moving average. Not that technicals matter a whole bunch on this company because their market cap is so small. But, you know, had we not set this limit order back here, it never would have hit. So I think I'd like to get one more in there, and that'll be our last and final bet. Silver had an interesting week. So, you know, I'm going to get rid of this trend line here. Basically, I'll put in a horizontal right here around, what is that, 23? Bam, alternate H. So hit right down on here. Nice reversal bar on Thursday, which made me believe that silver is, at least for the short term, going to go up to the upside. We did a leveraged bet with that on SILJ. We put one bet in on here, and then we were stopped out about an hour later. So rather than just blow up this thing with arrows, I'll just say it instead of putting them on there. Then we got right back in at 9:51, and we have a stop limit at 9:39. So if it gets down to 9:39, we're wrong. It'll sell, and then we don't lose much at all. But I think there is some real upside right here, especially if it can break through the 200 moving average. We'll see how it irons out. Copper's down a little bit for the week, but check this out. It's hitting right on the 200 moving average, massive selling. But now if we take this out to the hourly, there's not really anything that's making me think that this is going to stop. It looks like it's going to bust through just because of the shape of that reversal bar to the downside there. But it is good to note that it is hitting on the 200 moving average. We got the 50 moving average moving up, and yeah, like it. COPX, this is our beta play on copper, just a copper ETF, a bunch of the biggest companies. Don't see any technical entry here. You know, just kind of wait for this to develop a little bit. It's really just kind of choppy and tough to read. It looks like it's on its way down. Arizona Metals down a bit for the week, but it is getting scooped up here by the 50 moving average. The stochastic's low. MACD is kind of turning down. RSI's middle of the road. Don't really see any technical entries here other than maybe on the 50 moving average. I still think a stink bid around 155, 150 is good to go. Uranium, $93 a pound in the spot market. We're going to share our screen here with the latest tweet from John Quakes. Today's spot uranium prices are at their 2024 highs, with these minimum ask prices offered by sellers as U.S. nuclear fuel buyers on this quiet Friday, January morning. So we put this out Friday. Basically, this is the futures right here of what you can see the contracts are going out. So $93 for January. So the last time I put $93 in here, that was actually for futures contracts in March. Those are going up, $93.50, $94 for April. See, each one of these progressively going up is just getting more and more expensive. And so I think the price of this commodity is still going up. We move on to the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. They're trading at an 8.71% discount. So if you don't have any position in uranium, this is the way that we did it for the last few years, is whenever this number got above like 11, we bought. And since we had it on a premium recently, we started selling. But that is one way that you can trade this commodity, and it's probably one of the safest ones because it's the commodity itself. So here's a graph of or chart of SRUUF. We sold a little bit more, and that was what we used to place some of our limit orders on Origin, or purchase orders on Origin. And also we put in another order that I'll show you in a minute. URA, okay, so they dropped because of their dividend. I could probably get rid of this trend line here, although it would be significant when it breaks through it. So maybe I'll keep it up there. But yeah, see it, they paid their dividend here. $1.68 per share, not bad at all, especially if you were buying back here when it was 19 bucks. And to pay the dividend, you know, they had to pull it from somewhere. They pull it there. They're rebalancing the ETF. As far as an entry into this, I would like to see a double bottom. I don't think we're going to get there, but I would love to see it come back down to the 200 moving average. But yeah, wait for a little double bottom here and then maybe a reversal bar to the upside. And I think that might be a nice entry point. Sold a little bit more URNM. So, we're getting back in here, kind of dollar cost averaging in around 28 to $30 and, got all the way up around 50. Sold a little bit more last week, and we're going to be keeping this as cash. And as things progress and deals come, we will be moving this likely into gold and coal. URNJ, cup and handle pattern still looking strong. I think, unless we get some kind of recession liquidity crisis, I think this one's going to do pretty well here over the next year or so. So liking that one a lot. UROI, our limit order that we've been talking about since like back here of 250 finally hit. And this is the importance, I think, of having limit orders on companies that you believe like on this. If you're gone camping, you're not going to catch this. You know what I mean? If you're on vacation or if you put it in, we got it in right around the 400 moving average. The 200 moving average is just below that. Excuse me. If it hits down there, I think we will probably do like one last bet, and then that will probably be our final bet here for URI. The technicals are stochastics low, MACD is low, RSI is low. Like this one a lot. Encore Energy. We sold our positions in Encore Energy. This one back here that we got over a year ago was essentially par. So we broke even on that. These ones down here averaged about a 40% move. And so we're pretty happy with that. What is that, 41 and a half? Although each one of these was equal bets. That's about the middle. Anyways, we made about 40% in a year and a half. After our conversation with Rick, we're like, this is one more company that we're having to look at every month. And honestly, our bet wasn't that big. I think it was less than 1% of the portfolio. Not the uranium portfolio, but the whole thing. So, there was kind of a lot of time being put into this one that I could free up and start looking at more gold companies or other companies. And so we exited our position there. Natural gas actually kind of spiked the last couple of days here, last 3 days or so. We're now up above the 200 moving average. So kind of excited for natural gas. Devon popped a little bit and then came down on Friday. They recently paid their dividends. So, typically when these companies pay their dividends, they kind of hit a nice little entry point, which it did back here. And now it looks like it's getting kind of scooped up by the 20 and the 50 moving average. Still has to break through this 200 moving average up above it. But if natural gas does well, I think this is a no-brainer. We still got our stink bid in here for $42, probably a pipe dream, but we shall see. Crude oil. Crude oil's up a little bit for the week. Settled the week at 73.81. It didn't specifically see an entry point into, well, I take that back. We did. We bought a little bit of XLE, just added a little bit to our position. Let me bring that up. There you go. And we also put limit orders going in on the way down. So we got this one at, what did we get at 84.50. We got another one right along here at the 400 moving average around like 83.60. And then we got a stink bid down in here for 81.50, lining up with some back support right here. So this fund is, most of it is Exxon, and the second biggest holding is Chevron, the two that we want. And then you have a whole bunch of other oil companies in there. So not quite as good as just Exxon itself, but the way I look at this one is it's kind of nice to be able to just play an ETF. And, if Exxon were to have some giant, Gulf oil leak or something like that, it's happened to other companies in the past, then you're not quite as exposed to it. Does that make sense? You're a little bit more spread out. Exxon floating around 102 here. Don't see any specific entry points unless it comes back down right around 100. That looks like it lines up with some pretty good support there. And then the other entry points back here would be below that, basically like 98, high 97, something like that. Those would be your stink bids. All right, moving on to coal, thermal coal. Let's see, just about to touch down on the 120 for a ton of thermal coal. Kind of interesting. Hopefully it's getting back down here. We got to schedule Matt Warder and get him back on to pick his brain again on coal. Um, and metallurgical coal closed the week at 329. Again, we're still kind of waiting for like the 250 range, and that's kind of going to be our entry point, I think, there. Glencore, put in our first starter position on Glencore. And after talking with Rick, and he said this one's a 4, I decided to pull the limit order for 1050 and 950, and then maybe do a little bit more realistic ones here. So we've got, we bought our first position. What is that? 1156. We got another limit order here, basically on the top end of this retracement at, what is that? 1146. Oh, I wrote it right here. 1143, 1128, and 1078. And this isn't super scientific. All we're doing is we're basically taking the top of the retracement, the bottom of the retracement, and then lining this up with some back support here. So we're officially in Glencore. Bitcoin, what's it floating at right now? 44,000. I don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole. The thing I keep going back to on this, maybe I haven't told the Bitcoin story here on the show. I bought my first Bitcoin when it was $450. And my logic behind it was there's only 21 million of these available. And if I have one, that's got to be something, right? Well, since Bitcoin has completely blown up, and I still don't have that single one that I bought, I've turned it into the truck that I drive today. I've turned it into other cryptocurrencies like Ethereum and Litecoin. I still have a little bit of my Bitcoin left. But when I look at this, 44,000 for one Bitcoin, I got to ask myself, okay, let's say gold is 2,000 an ounce right now. You're telling me that one Bitcoin is worth, what would that be, 22 gold coins? Like a whole tube of those things with 2 more on top? If someone said, which one do you want right now? I would say the gold coins. I can't imagine trading 22 gold coins for one Bitcoin. That doesn't even make sense to me. But what do I know? All right, Platinum. Platinum had a down week, but it hit right on the 400 and the 200 day moving average with a reversal bar up. So this is pretty interesting. I kind of like the what do you call it? I kind of like the setup right here for Platinum as far as the metal itself. We are a little bit high on the RSI. Stochastic's down. MACD's kind of turning right there, but does look like it might be moving up. Let's see if we can run a retracement here, and yeah, it's hitting right through the top of the retracement. Looking like Platinum's going to go up. All right, Palladium had a bigger correction than Platinum. No retracement to be seen there. Don't see any technical entries right here. No, I want to see this get sold off a little bit more. TLT is starting to roll over a little bit, broke through this 200-day moving average and with the reversal bar to the downside. So it does look like yields are moving up and TLT is moving down. Vale, we sold our position in Vale. We've had this thing for a couple of years, and we're up about, with the dividends, we were up, I just did the math, it was 26%, 25.8%. After with Rick's talk and their whole, the dam that broke, and apparently I thought the litigation was over. Apparently it's not. I just one more headache that I have to look at every month. And when was this? Yeah, 2 years ago, 26%. I'll take it. So that one's off the books. Now, listener questions from Sean, 92 Energy. He wants to know about this one. Now, I don't know how much help I'm going to be here as far as technicals on this one, Sean. This is an Australian uranium explorer. There's just not a whole lot of history, and there's not a whole lot of volume. I think the market cap on this one is like 40 million. Let me double check here before I just talk. Yeah, 40 million US. So when we look at this chart, okay, like look at this day alone right here, December 7th, right? It started the day at 23 cents and ended the day, or went all the way up to 38 and then ended the day right there at 32. This was probably one guy buying and one guy selling to bring it back down, right? On these charts, if I'm interested in the company, if I understand their fundamentals, what I generally do is I look across the chart here to kind of see where there's the most action. And that can kind of act as a little bit of a support or resistance looking forward. And it looks to me like we're kind of around that, I don't know, 25 to 30 cent mark, somewhere around there, maybe 27-ish. This 200-day moving average isn't going to be a whole lot of help because it's just started and there's no real history there. You know what I mean? Technicals are up high here. All RSI, stochastic, and everything is up high. We want to see this correct down a little bit to, kind of get some selling pressure to bring these things back down. And then maybe we can start hitting on some moving averages. But, like this one day, all that volume going in just kind of skews everything. And, in these smaller market cap companies, the technicals aren't quite as reliable as they would be in something like Coca-Cola or Walmart. Okay, and he wants to know about Hecla Mining. All right, these companies have been around a long time. I got to go to the monthly chart just to get you perspective here. So this is going back to 1968. And we can see, look at this bull market here when is that? The late 70s, early 80s. Let me run a ruler on this. That's probably 800%. 800, 900% right there if you caught the bottom and the top. Another bull market here in 09 to 11. Look at this thing. It's pretty incredible. So very, very leveraged at 700%. Here's where we are now. I'm going to go to, this is the monthly. So we got the 200 monthly. With a company like this with a lot of history, the technicals are much, much more reliable. And especially like if we look at the market cap of this thing, 2.6 billion. Okay. 2.6 billion. Oh, I should have said they're a gold and silver company. And so there's the weekly. And here's the daily. So we are below the 200 daily, but the RSI stochastic is looking like it's kind of coming down. A little bit of back support right around the level where we are now. I would prefer to see this kind of come down just a little bit more. I want to see this RSI come down below here into the buy zone. See this MACD get a little bit more red on the screen and then kind of see it come up like a little parachute or like a little ski ramp. Now I will run a bit of a retracement here, kind of coming into that, but yeah, we want to see like some kind of double bottom or something here, but I think we're getting close on this one. And last one, Scotty wants to know about Energy Fuels. And we asked Rick about this. And if you guys haven't seen the interview, we'll put a link up here for it. But kind of a compelling entry point here. Out of all three of these, this was the one where I went, ooh. Oops, sorry about that. This is the one where I went, ooh. And look at what we got here. It's hitting right on the 200 moving average. Now we do have a Friday reversal bar to the downside. Let me go to the hourly here. But see how we just got boom, boom, boom right there. Let me go to the 30-minute and we got a slight reversal bar to the upside. So I may actually put in a trading position on this one on Monday. If I do it, I'm going to want to do it right when the market opens, assuming that I can get it within this price range right about where we are right now. Okay, so we'll see. And then what I could do is I could put a stop loss pretty close to below that, so that if we're wrong, we lose very little. If we're right, we have a lot of room to the upside. And with uranium continuing to move higher, I think we are more likely to go up than down. But if we're wrong, we have a minimal loss. All right. Well, I want to thank you for tuning in. Support the show. Hit the like and subscribe and share this with anyone that you think needs to hear it. It's probably your buddy who can't stop talking about tech stocks. Have yourself a great rest of the day, and we will talk to you next time.